Get your copy of Jailed by Lust, Released by Love by Gerard C. Sr. When a summer fling evolves into something more, three teenagers are faced with a choice: do the right thing or lose themselves in the heat of the moment. When Damien meets Sheila, sparks fly as a hormone-fueled first encounter turns into a whirlwind summer romance. And, true to their carefree nature, the teenagers get all hot and heavy when they finally get some time alone. All is well after that, until Sheila starts showing signs that she might be pregnant. Her aunt and confidant, Vivian, is the first to find out. When 2 pregnancy tests turn positive, the pair shares the news with Damien and his family. But, despite their hopes, things didn't go as planned. If you're looking for a captivating coming-of-age novel filled with powerful inspirational messages of love, faith, hope, healing, and renewal with a heart-pumping twist, then get ready to meet your new favorite book with Jailed by Lust, Released by Love by Gerard C. Sr. Learn more and get your copy at the website www.releasedbylove.com.
Jailed by Lust, Released by Love. Author Gerard C. Sr. Narrator Kimyarda Jones. Coming to light. As soon as we're done eating, we can head upstairs and I'll help you with the test. Sheila tosses her napkin on her plate and waits for her aunt to finish up so she can clear the table. I don't really need your help with the test, Auntie. Vivian smiles half-heartedly. I guess I used the wrong word, sweetie. I won't actually be helping you. I'll be more like a witness to the test. I bought 2 pregnancy tests, so if the first test comes back positive, we can have you take the second test a few hours later to be sure. She then tosses her napkin on her plate and gets up to pour herself a much-needed glass of wine. Sheila moves to clear the table, a blank look on her face. Okay, that makes sense. After Sheila finishes cleaning up, she and Vivian head upstairs. Sheila, preparing for the worst, just stares at the bathroom. Her aunt, sensing the muddled feelings in her niece's heart and mind, reaches out to comfort her. There are a few things we need to discuss before taking the test. First of all, I want you to be prepared if the test comes back positive. You need to be ready for the potential backlash from your mother and possibly even Sharon. She takes a sip of the wine and contemplates getting another glass before they see the results. In a voice just above a whisper, Sheila replies, "Yes, I know." They stand in the doorway of the bathroom, bracing themselves for the first test. Vivian is halfway through her first glass of wine when she says, "I want you to know that there were some poor choices made by both you and Damien. So if there is backlash from your mom and Sharon because they are your parents, it is warranted. But I need you to remain calm and restrain yourself from being argumentative. In other words, please don't go off on anyone. I heard from your mother in the past about how you can react when you get angry." Turning away from her aunt, Sheila rolls her eyes and puts her head in her hands, ready to get on with the test. "I can't promise you, Auntie, but I'll try my best." "Sweetie, that's all I ever ask of you," her aunt says, eyes glittery as the wine calms her jittery nerves. Vivian reaches out to hug her tense niece and continues speaking as Sheila rests her hand on her aunt's shoulder. "I want you to know that I understand that all protection is not 100% safe or reliable, but because you and Damien let the heat of the moment take over without trying to figure out a safer solution than relying on your birth control pill, you risk the chance of not only getting an STD, but also of getting pregnant. But what's done is done, and we must deal with it head on. Regardless of the outcome, I find it necessary to say that the only way to ensure an unwanted pregnancy or an STD is by abstinence. It's by choosing not to have any sexual contact until you are ready to plan a family." Sheila takes a deep breath as she slowly releases herself from her aunt's embrace. "Yes, Auntie, I've heard that millions of times, but I have to say that despite my choice not to remain abstinent, I know the main reason we are in this position today is our lack of judgment." Her aunt widens her eyes. Having barely heard anything from Sheila all day, she is grateful for her niece's insight and willingness to be held accountable. "Yes, honey, that's absolutely right. The best you can do is learn from your mistake so that you can do better next time. Understand? Yes, I really do. Sheila sits on the closed toilet seat. Seeing her aunt is still determined to talk to her about her poor judgment, Sheila simply sits there and listens. Sheila's aunt places her glass of wine on a nearby bookshelf and continues to lean in on the doorway. And I need you to know that your mother and Sharon may be upset, but I know they only want the best for their children. And regardless of how the world may look at it, a child is a blessing from God. But that blessing is easier to appreciate when you're an adult, and there's a lot less stress for both the mother and the father when the pregnancy is planned. I'm sure you've seen the struggles that your own mother had to go through, raising you as a single parent. I've watched my baby sister make so many sacrifices in her life to provide the best for you, and she does it, but it hasn't been easy. I'm definitely not saying that raising a child as a single parent can't be done, because single parents, women and men, are raising children all over the world. It requires a lot of strength and support, and it certainly requires a lot of sacrificing. So please, if the test comes back positive, don't expect for everything to be all peaches and cream, baby. I can't lie to you, it just isn't going to be easy. She looks at her niece, who is sitting, absorbing her aunt's guidance, with her own mom constantly tied up at work. Mother and daughter never had much time for in-depth, heavy conversations. For the most part, Sheila felt that she had to do a lot of learning on her own. Despite her disappointment and fears, she was grateful that her aunt took the time to be real with her. Sheila reaches for a tissue as more tears well up in her eyes. Her aunt continues, "Sheila, I also have to say that it's always best when the child is raised by both parents. Several university studies have shown that having both parents actively involved in a child's life can provide significant social, psychological, and health benefits. Most importantly, the stability of having and seeing a healthy relationship with both parents can provide greater opportunities for children to find their path to success. I know that you never knew your dad, so if the test comes back positive, I'm sure that you would love for Damien to be involved in the child's life." Sheila shrugs. "I guess I would love for all three of us to be a family, but if that doesn't happen, then I would at least want him to be involved in our child's upbringing," Sheila says, as tears fall down her cheeks. "It really hurt growing up without my father. I don't even know what he looks like." Vivian rubs Sheila's back to comfort her sobbing niece. "Yes, sweetie, I know. Let it out." She reaches for a piece of toilet paper and blots her niece's tear-stained face. Vivian gives Sheila a few moments to collect herself, then she continues, "I'll try to wrap it up here by saying that regardless of a couple planning on being together or not, it's very important that they both work together for the good of the unborn child. The two may not agree on everything, but for the child's sake, there has to be less name-calling and blame-throwing and more coming together. This is not always possible, but this is a part of the sacrifices I spoke of earlier. You really have to grow up and mature to manage all of this. It's just as simple as that." Sheila sobs, and her aunt continues to rub her back. Vivian finds a ray of hope. "It won't be easy, but together, with our family and the love of God, you can make it through any difficult times that may lie ahead. Even those plans you mentioned to me about attending Spelman College and Harvard University, those plans are still attainable if you don't remember anything else today. No matter how hard the road looks ahead, don't ever give up on your dreams." Sniffling and sitting up straighter, Sheila looks at her aunt, who holds Sheila's face in her hands, and says, "No, Auntie, I never will. I'm not a quitter." Vivian embraces her. "That's my girl. That's my girl." Sheila reaches for the test and thanks her aunt. "I truly understood everything you said, and I'm truly grateful to have someone like you to talk to. I'd be lying if I told you I'm not scared about the results and how Damien will react. But I can honestly say, because of our conversation and my own sense of self, I know I got this." She smiles a genuine smile for the first time that day. Vivian kisses her niece before going to refill her wine glass one last time. Sheila closes the bathroom door and proceeds to take the first test. Minutes later, Vivian returns. Just before she knocks on the door, Vivian hears Sheila's upset and knocks frantically on the bathroom door. "What's going on in there?" Sheila opens the door and hands her aunt the test, which she's placed on a tissue. Vivian sees that the test is in fact positive. Sheila's aunt remains calm, handing the test back to Sheila. "With everything you told me from when you failed to use a condom to 5 weeks later having a missed period, nausea, and vomiting, this result is actually of no surprise to me. Why don't you wait another 4 hours or so to take the second test?" With a defeated look on her face, Sheila nods her head and excuses herself to go to her bedroom. As she walks by, her aunt says one more thing. "We'll have to come up with a plan to share the news with Damien and Sharon in case the second test reads positive too." Thinking about how to break this life-changing news to Damien's family, Vivian follows Sheila to her room, where she sits in a desk chair to face her niece and brainstorms. "Well, I had promised Sharon that I would call her tonight. She mentioned that she had some good news to share with me. I think I will invite her over so that she can share her news with me, and then we can share ours with her." Looking flustered, Sheila groans. "I'll go along with whatever you think, Auntie. I would like a moment to myself, though, to prepare for it all and take everything in. I feel very overwhelmed." Her aunt kisses her on the head and leaves Sheila's room, closing the door behind her. Sheila lays on her bed for a moment, drowning under the weight of everything that has unfolded that day. After several minutes trying to calm her body, Sheila tiptoes downstairs to retrieve her laptop so she can go watch Netflix before taking the final pregnancy test. A few hours pass, and unable to bear the uncertainty, Sheila rushes into the bathroom, hoping her previous results were just a false alarm. To her shock, Sheila sees that the second test is also positive. Sheila calls out for her aunt, who is downstairs sorting through family photos. "I'll be right up," she responds. Vivian walks into the bathroom to find Sheila sitting on the floor with her head in her hands, holding both positive pregnancy tests in her lap. Knowing her aunt is there, Sheila speaks without even looking up. "There's our answer." Her aunt stoops down immediately to rub Sheila's back and says, "Let's take a snapshot of both tests and then bag and date them. I'll call now to set up a doctor's appointment with my doctor. Hopefully, she can see you before you go back to New York." Immediately, Vivian goes downstairs to make the call. Rummaging through her purse to find her cell phone, she starts to cry. Placing the bag beside her, she stops for a moment to release her own tears. How could this baby be so careless? And what of her father's failure to give her the guidance and love that she deserves? She wouldn't be going about life like this, looking for these boys to give her the approval that her father should have been there to give from the beginning. Knowing that the situation is well beyond blaming or pointing fingers, Vivian dries her eyes and calls the doctor.